high capers, Andy.
Yeah, loved it.
Really high.
That was good.
Good.
You were lifting all the Morris dancers up with that one hand.
Me.
Up in the air, up we go.
So I'd just like to welcome Deborah there. She's just arrived. And Atsu. Sorry, Deborah, I didn't catch you when you arrived earlier. I was making a coffee and answering a phone call. And you snuck in. Good to see you.
I asked a question on the chat as to whether anyone knows the origin of that tune, Orange and Bloom, because it's only been collected once, to my knowledge.
And it's an unusual name, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not in any of the other Morris traditions in the Cotswolds. I can't find it anywhere else either.
Well, they did grow oranges in orangeries, but they would have been quite rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered if it might have been a corruption of Oranjeboom, the Dutch word.
Possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had quite a connection with Holland, so yeah, that's a possibility.
Well, when you see the six man Orange and Bloom dance, and they go up in the air and they twist, and the hankies form this bloom. To me, it looks like an orange blossom because they take all 12 handkerchiefs in the air at the same time, and then when they twist, they become this flower petal.
Well,
to me, it's a flower petal.
Although then traditionally in Sherborne, your hands actually don't go very high. You know, maybe the style they do it in where you are, but the hands usually only go up to shoulder height, I think.
No, but not the way the travelling Morris do it. And they went to the village and checked out, I think.
All right.
I'd say it's a very high. It's actually
Lassington Oak. Yeah, what's that group? Lassington Oak. They're near Gloucester.
Oh, they're not far from us. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so well matched for height, and they go way high on Orange and Bloom.
Yeah.
Can I just say bye, everyone? I'm off now. Thank you for a lovely morning.
Hey, lovely. And thanks for making the effort with the technology, Terry. That's awesome. Are you up for the next one?
Yes, please. Yes.
With the technology? Yeah, you are at the top of the technology, Terry.
This morning.
And we're looking forward to your next book, The Taborers Treasury 5, which will contain number 5, transcriptions of terpsichore.
All of the last, the final.
What's on Treasury 4? What's number 4 about?
4 is different. 4's favourite.
Potpourri of pipe pieces.
All right.
I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Taborers Treasury 6.
Yeah.
I'll go for 7 then.
I think the Arbo version will be lovely. Cheerio.
Right, who do we have to play next? Do we have somebody who would like?
I'm going to head off as well. I've got some longbow archery to do this afternoon, so I'm going to go and see a man about a longbow.
Very good.
How about Deborah? We haven't seen you for a while. I
Bye,
met
everybody.
you at the first one I attended in New York. You were there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You guys are wonderful singers, musicians.
Yeah, I should have a drum.
All right. You ready?
So this is New York time, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Steve said that. Yeah, I think we miscalculated by an hour, I guess, if you guys have been going at it for a while.
Daylight savings. I had to recalculate for daylight savings time. It's 4 in the morning here, 4:30.
It's about 8:15 here.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
We couldn't see the instrument you were playing. Is that
It's a VL.
beautiful?
Thank you. So who's next?
Atsu hasn't played.
Right. I wasn't sure who hadn't played. Yeah, I know
Go,
I
go
have.
for it, Atsu. You haven't played yet.
Yeah. Sorry.
Give us a tune.
No. I can't play in this time because it is siesta time here in Bulgaria.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It's utterly impossible. So just I hear you playing.
Okay.
Oh, well, I can do one then. I don't know how good my connection is at the moment. I've got a bit of a microphone problem, but it might work. So we'll keep on the Morris theme.
Yo, Steve.
There we go. Oh,
Ray, that was great, Steve. That's a lovely dance, that.
it's one of my absolute favourite dances, and it's my favourite tune, I think. I used to think Orange in Bloom was my favourite tune, but then when I started doing Boss Morris, playing and setting up Boss Morris, and they became and the Rose became, our favourite dance to do, and it was I taught it the way that I learned it as Bows of London City. They had a very distinctive style of dancing it, and the Boss girls, they really got onto that beautifully. It transforms the dance, yeah. So I just love doing it.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites on my prancing patio, actually. And Russell always used to say that you should put galleys in the hay in that, so that's what I do. It's such fun with galleys in the hay, I tell you.
and in my talk I was saying about the need to play things slowly in order to give time for the expression, and that holds so true in something a dance like that. And I really love doing that, and it's quite a short dance. You can put everything into it, but it's a short dance. It's 2 A's, 2 B's, 3 times through. That's all. No corners, no hanging around, standing around. But good dance, good dance. I find that I like the Fieldtown tunes a lot, and they were the ones that came from the Door family, the one that I mentioned in the talk.
Steve, can you find out some more through your contacts about exactly which ones were from them? That would be a really lovely thing for us to have on the website, actually.
Yeah, I think what I'd really like to do is to persuade Keith, and it's quite difficult to persuade Keith to do anything. Persuade Keith to come and give us a talk about it.
That would be awesome. Could you do that? Could you have that as a task?
Yeah, I will chase him up again because he
that would be lovely. We would love that so much. If he wants adulation, we'll give him adulation.
He's the sort of person that really shies away from that, you know.
Oh dear. Oh right. Well, we really won't give him any adulation at all.
I've got a theory that some of the Fieldtown tunes, the fiddler who played the Fieldtown tunes, had paid a lot of attention to the pipe and tabor that preceded him, and that they preserve a lot of the rhythm of the tabor in the melody of the Fieldtown tunes.
Yeah.
Things like the little double anacrusis at the end of every phrase, which you tend to get in Fieldtown, is what I would do with a double beat on the drum at the end of a phrase. That's kind of partly where I got the idea from, because I used to play a lot of Fieldtown.
I think you're right. There's something special about the Fieldtown tunes, and they I mean, some of them have got a huge range, but it all fits on the tabor pipe.
Yeah.
And when you do play them, it falls out of the instrument. You know, it flows out of the instrument. Things like Dearest Dickie.
Mm.
And I remember a long time ago on MDDL, whoever remembers MDDL, but back in the 80s, in the 90s, it was the internet bulletin board about folk, about Morris. And on there were people saying, well, Dearest Dickie is clearly a fiddler's tune because it's got such a range. But when you play out on the pipe and tabor, it comes out so beautifully. And I asked Keith about a number of the Fieldtown tunes, which people have said, you know, they were clearly fiddle tunes, and he had that one in particular as played by the Dorr family, and Lumps of Plum Pudding, which also has got a good range. Yeah, and Lumps of Plum Pudding must have been around for quite a long time then, you know. So the Dorr family were active at the end of the 18th century, and Lumps of Plum Pudding, you know, was a
it's in Playford.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What I mean is though that the tune must have been around the area. It was played, it was sung as a children's rhyme up, and you know, was it Sharp collected it? I think, didn't he, Gwilym?
I don't know, but
if
you're going to say that there is a tune that is a fiddle tune because of the range, you've got to be talking about the Rose Tree from Bampton, because that's sorting 2 octaves worth. I definitely couldn't play that one on a pipe and tabor. Don't like playing on the fiddle either.
No, but
no, it does. It does fit. It fits. You just have to be imaginative about the key you're going to play it in, because on a D pipe, I actually play it in A. Is the way I fit it on the. So it's just about, you know, rethinking what you've got to do, really. I mean, you know, Bampton was originally all pipe and tabor anyway, wasn't it? You know,
but it's got so many tunes. I think they carried on adding tunes after they stopped using the pipe and tabor. And I've never thought of the Rose Tree as being particularly a tabor tune.
Oh well, no, I've been playing it since I was about 20.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, but you have to find a note.
But I'll do it next. I'll do it next time. I'll make a note.
Yeah.
I have a question about the wonderful materials that you generated for this event. Will they still be available online, like the Concert of Concerts? Can we still see that?
So the plan is to keep the Concert of Concerts online and the concert yesterday. The concert.
What about?
There is an issue with the Concert of Concerts in that Andre Gabriel sent us a link to a video that he wanted to be included, which was his Paganini piece, but of course that wasn't recorded by him, and we actually I've tracked down the person who recorded it and asked him for permission to include it in the concert, but I never got a reply from him. He is someone, Henri Charles Calumet, Do you know him, Michel? Henri Charles Calumet. He is a Galoubet player in Provence.
Oh là.
No.
Which one? This one?
There is a man called Henri Charles Calumet. And no.
Michel,
Oui.
il gère une page sur Facebook de partitions de tambourinaires et de choses comme ça.
Calmette.
Calmette.
Original.
Got a Facebook page apparently with Galoubet tunes on it.
Yeah. And I think he is a friend of Andre.
Probably.
Yeah. So
probably because everybody is a friend of André Gabriel.
Well, what about the symposium? Those talks, will they be available still online?
I think we could do that. Yeah, they are still there, I think. And what I need to do is to do a bit of an edit to be able to get rid of the rubbish at the beginning and end. Yeah. The workshops, the idea of the workshops was that, people could participate in the workshops and that would stay within the workshop rather than being on the net, because it's a different thing. Everybody who was on the concerts were performing for the concerts, whereas the workshop was very much for, and this is just us chatting. It's our own thing. So this won't stay on there.
I did enjoy those symposiums. You guys are you do so much research, and I learned a lot from you. And a friend of mine here who conducts the Oregon Renaissance Band and the Early Music Guild of Oregon was very interested in the Mary Rose. He makes copies of, he makes rackets. He's made 250 rackets. He's made now more rackets than they had in the Renaissance.
Wow.
He loves creating instruments from reproduction. He goes to the museums and they let him take this racket apart. It was made of ivory. And they said, okay, put the gloves on. And he carried it into the elevator and took it upstairs and made all his dimensions. And now he has made 250 rackets worldwide, bass rackets, all the sizes. Yeah. He makes sardoons and she makes vielles, and they're amazing. So he would like to hear that symposium.
So you've really got me thinking now. What is a collective noun for racket players?
You mean apart from racketeers?
I think it might be a buzz.
That was my suggestion.
A buzz of rackets. A buzzy of rackets.
A racket of rackets, yeah.
A racket of rackets.
What feeling system were the Mary Rose pipes? Anybody decided definitely what?
Yes, we had a chat about that. Who was Bill and I were having a chat about that. Someone, what's his name? From City Waits, the Taborer in City Waits. He has
William Lyons.
Pardon?
William Lyons?
No, it's gone. I keep thinking. I'll remember his name in a minute. But he made a set with Graham Lyndon Jones. They made a replica set of the Mary Rose pipes, and then Keith McGowan, is it Keith McGowan, the the guy at the Globe Theatre? He also they started making some as part of Christopher Monk's workshop after Christopher died, and I've just noticed someone waiting to come in. Bill Tuck.
Yes. Speaking of Bill.
So Bill might actually be able to tell us about this. Anyway, So Graham actually arranged for us to have the first 3 replicas made,
Oh,
and they came to. I can't remember if it was I think it was the 1999 festival, the festival before all festivals, and we had all 3 of them there. Nick Perry, that's his name. I knew it began with N. Nick Perry, and so Nick has them, and you can ask him about them, and they're very interesting, because when you look at the keys that the 3 are in, they play ostensibly they wouldn't play together, but 2 of them would be fine, but the 3rd one is in a different mode, and when you take the mode into account, it works with the other 2. So one's a different mode. I can't remember what it is. I think they're very close to G, between A and G, aren't they, Bill? Your microphone, you need to unmute, Bill. Bill, unmute.
What was meaning was what the fingering system was, sort of tone, tone, semitone.
All right, so 2 of them are tone, tone, semitone. The other one is tone, semitone, tone.
The other question on fingering is, you mentioned 3/4, i.e. on the thumb hole. Does that have any advantage, say, cross fingering for notes using the 2 top fingers?
The tone, tone, 3/4.
Yeah. Or is it just out of tune?
Well, Richard Sermon's the person to ask on that, because he did a lot of work, and he worked out that if you had a tone, tone, 3/4, you could play in various Sephardic modes.
Ah, right, go in that direction. Just,
but he worked that out. But more recently, I spoke to him about it, within the last year, and he said he had changed his mind on that he didn't think they ever did play it in Sephardic modes. That this probably was poorly made instruments.
Yeah.
He was looking specifically at the Spanish tabor pipes, and which are basically, well, the ones on the west of the country are sort of STT, but they're STT-ish.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, this is all due to ancient Arabic modes and that." But I think he came round to the opinion that no, it's due to the errors of the pipe makers. It's very difficult to make an accurate pipe, so it's more to do with that than the ancient modes.
We have a pipe that we got at an estate sale that we thought was in Lydian, but then played around with it. Yeah, tone, tone, tone. Then realized it was actually it had a leading tone at the bottom.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether that tone, tone, 3/4 was made as a tone, tone, semitone, and the hole just wore away so that it's bigger.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the wrong place.
There's another factor as well,
yeah,
which is the piano accordion. The revolutionary thing about the piano accordion is it's like a folk instrument, but it's in equal temperament. And I think it's unlikely, but it is possible that somebody might have worked out that if you misplaced a hole somewhere by half holing, you could actually play in equal temperament. I mean, I found this out when I made mine, was that I tuned the holes to an electronic keyboard. And then I found that some of the notes, the harmonics, were out of tune. But of course they would be, because the electronic keyboard was out of tune.
Yeah.
That's just a little red herring to throw in.
No, I think you're quite right, is that people don't understand, when they say your tabor pipe is out of tune, they're expecting it to be in tune with a fully chromatic instrument, which it's not. I play the concertina, the Anglo and the English, and early English concertinas. early English concertinas, although they're chromatic, the black and white notes were actually tuned separately. So G flat would be different from F sharp.
Right.
So, you know, they were actually tuned not to equal temperament. And so when you played, you know, they played very well with the tabor pipe, actually.
You know, I got this. This was Dick Bagwell's. He gave me his D pipe, one of his D pipes, but he said it was flat, and so I couldn't play it with the Morris teams because they use accordions, and accordions are tuned a little bit sharp, like A441, A442. You know, they're sharp. But what I did was I took it to a luthier, and he filed down at the tenon here and filed down this part of the joint. So now it can go sharp enough to play in tune. So I had to have it reworked by a good luthier, but it worked. He sanded this part and sanded this part. So
Yeah.
now I can be in tune with the accordions.
MJ.
I have a recorder. It's a modern recorder made by Adriana Breaking. It's one of her Eagles, and she makes all her stuff to 442 because that's what they play over there. But when she sold it to me, she supplied a tiny little ring which I fit between the two parts, which takes it back down to exactly 440.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about 1.5 millimeters thick, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between 440 and 442. But I think the problem with three-hole pipes is because the change of breath pressure between the low notes and the high notes is quite great. That means that your octaves aren't quite true. So I think when you make a three-hole pipe, you probably have to decide whether you want the lower notes to be in tune or the higher notes to be in tune, but you can't have both. But that's my theory anyway, because
when I was working with Tim on the Melbourne Minstrelsy pipes, we brought together the biggest range of tabor pipes we could find by makers going back to Dolmetsch and even looking at original pipes. And the thing right from the start was that the tabor pipe is always going to be a compromise. It's not perfect.
Right.
Where you center your pitch and what range you actually want the pitch to be best over, you know, can be determined, can be changed. Mark Binns approaches this in a different way from Tim. Both are very good recorder makers, and but eventually everything has come out as just keep with the parallel bore, because you can actually have tabor pipes which, like recorders, have got a different profile bore along its length. So quite often you'll find an instrument, not a tabor pipe, but it would be narrow down at the bell end and then broader in the middle and narrower at the fipple end. And you change that in order to get the right physics, basically, in order to keep it more in tune all the way through. So it's complicated. It is a very complicated thing, but for most people, for Taborers, playing for Morris, not an issue because you're not playing with anybody else.
And you're playing with Melodian.
Another factor. Yeah. Another factor.
For the old Taborers, it was always a solo instrument. I mean, they didn't play. They didn't have two playing together normally for the old Cotswold Morris. And so it probably didn't matter to them if it was slightly out of tune. And also, there's a thing that if the ear expects to hear a certain pitch, it'll hear that pitch. And if it's slightly sharp or flat, it doesn't really make any odds. And I'm sure the old Taborers didn't get hung up on, you know, equal temperament and Pythagorean scales and all that. That was.
There is one deep mystery that I've never been able to fathom out, and that is the size of the holes. Basically, the top edge of the hole determines the pitch of the fundamental note. The bottom edge of the hole determines the octave. But of course, with a tabor pipe, you're actually playing not just the first
overtone
harmonic, you're actually playing 2 and 3 above that.
Yes.
And I suspect that the size of the holes might actually be quite relevant, and that kind of follows on from MJ's point about, breath pressure affecting things. But anyway, that's that.
And I think you're right. When you look at Jim Jones pipes, which are very thin walled, they've got huge holes.
Look at the early
What-
Susato pipes have much smaller holes than the current models, so they've been messing around with it a lot too.
I've got 2 of the Rob Gondara's carbon fiber. I have 2 C pipes, and one of them is a straight barrel. This was the first C pipe he made, and he made the first Tabor pipe out of carbon fiber for me because I was at a festival and I needed a D, and he didn't know what it was. But I have this C that's straight, or a straighter bore. And then he's got a more tapered speed, and they have different characters. This one has a sweeter melody, and that's why I played it in my piece for the concert. Because when I work with the recorder, I play with the recorder ensembles, and the thinner bore is easier to play in the high register, and this one's better, just sounds more beautiful in the low register. But they're very thin holes, carbon fiber pipe. And the depth of the hole isn't very deep.
I think what we should do is at one of these future sessions, maybe the Winter Warmer or something. I'll get some of my mates who are makers to talk to us about some of this stuff. Maybe Barry Lloyd, Terry Mann, or
Go and get Tim to come on.
Tim as well. Yeah. And the other thing, the other important thing I'd like to raise is the fact that color is an issue. So if you have purple heartwood, then you start not worrying about the pitch or anything else. You just it's the color of the pipe. Do we have a tune from Bill? Because Bill's appeared now. Bill, are you up for some early prance playing? Do you have your appropriate puffling pants on for that?
Gotta unmute.
Off if you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Bill is muted. We can't hear him.
Bill, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
No. Here we are. Now I'm live. I haven't actually been working on anything other than I've been playing trumpet for the last few months, natural trumpets. And the interesting thing there is, of course, you're again working on harmonics.
Yes.
The only notes you have are those on the natural harmonics. And it was intriguing to think about how you might combine those natural harmonics with again the natural harmonics of the 3-hole pipe, and that's how I came to invent the little piece that we played last night.
That was amazing, Bill. It was such fun to play. Thank you very much for that.
That's all right. It's a little. I used to play with Paul. We would play for the English Heritage jousting tournaments down at their various castles over the place with two trumpets. Anyway, as a sideline, we had to entertain the crowds to other things. So he would play his little samba rhythms on the drum, and I had to invent something on a natural trumpet that might go with that, which accounts for the origins of that particular little tune. But I think it's a nice one, actually. It's quite a challenge to invent something that sort of makes sense as a melody with relatively few notes like that. So it's quite good. Anyway, that was that piece. Now I haven't been working on anything very new on the 3-hole pipe, apart from that. Sorry, I missed the early part of the session, but I was involved in another Zoom meeting with the.
So, Bill, could you lead us in that one then?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll do that.
physically, or you could share desktop and we
No,
can.
I can do that. One minute, I'll just find my pipe. It's right here.
If people want to play along, everybody except Bill should be muted.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just make sure I got the notes right. Okay, that's it. So you have to play the samba rhythms and just those notes at any D pipe, small or large, or you can play the same notes on the G pipe. The PDF was on the website, I noticed, so it's there. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Repeat.
Bill, wait a moment. Bill, have you got original sound turned on? At the top of the screen.
Is that coming through? One moment.
Kept limiting. So at the top of the
yeah, I've got original sound.
At the top of the screen.
Yeah.
There's a thing that says turn on original sound. Top left. Top left.
Yeah. You connect to Zoom globally, password, recording, enhanced encryption. No.
It doesn't sound like you've got it enabled, so it keeps cutting out. If you go to the mute button and just next to it there's an arrow.
Yeah, it's got it as same as system, which is original sound. I'll just check my audio settings in case I don't think funny.
Yeah.
Input level.
Audio settings, the bottom right hand corner, advanced.
Yeah. Let me try that. Hang on. Advanced.
And then it says show in meeting option to enable original sound.
Yeah, I'll do that. Hang on, I'll click that one.
Yeah. And now when you go back to the main,
go back.
Top left, you should see turn on original sound.
Ah, now that might be better. Oh, yeah. It's on original sound.
It's turn on. It says turn on original sound.
Yeah.
Click that. So it should go blue. Has it gone blue at the top?
Yeah. Same as system.
No, just where.
Hang on. I see. You're right. Yeah, I thought I had it on there. Okay, let's try that.
Some options.
Hang on. Is that better?
There are also some options that say.
That's better.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. One more time. Are we ready? Samba. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Did that come through?
Hooray! That was brilliant.
There's one interesting thing is that as many of you will know, the seventh harmonic on any instrument is out of tune with very much out of tune with an equal tempered scale. In the case of the trumpet, a trumpet in D, it will be that C natural. It's flatter than one would expect. Not flat enough to be a proper B flat, but it's in between the natural B. So it's like, and of course that's the half hold C on a D trumpet, the half hold leading note. So the trick is when you're playing with a trumpet, you have to adjust that half hold note, as you can very readily, to be in tune with the trumpet. But of course you're out of equal temperament. Nevertheless, that's the little interest in that piece.
Well, that note is what makes it so good. It's like jazz.
Yeah. It's a
that note makes it.
Is that what that 3/4 tone pipe is for?
That's the good part.
That's the original blue note. That's the original blue note. The seventh
blue note.
And we used to make, when I was playing with Paul, we'd make a big thing of that. You know, the blueness of the seventh harmonic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Makes me want to dance.
I've put in on the chat. I've just put a link to that PDF for you all to download it if you want to do that. And yeah, it's good. Good tune. I love that tune. You're going to have to give us some instruction on beating out a samba rhythm.
Yeah, that's the other side of it, of course, is that underneath this you've got a real hardcore samba rhythm going along with the drums. They can play anything. It's got to be in that kind of samba rhythm, and anything. I think it could be very effective as a group piece. It's essentially a group performance piece.
So here's some. You away, Caroline. Caroline.
Hi.
So there's a discussion I had recently with Sam Sweeney. You might know him, the fiddle player, and he was contacted me to ask why doesn't England have any interesting rhythms? English traditional music doesn't have any interesting rhythms compared, say, to the Irish. And so anyway. It's quite an interesting story about all this, but it relates to us and what we're doing with the tabor and what we can do with the tabor. When you look at what we play, generally our dance rhythms that we use for country dance are fairly straight. 4/4s, 6/8s, might twist it a bit with a polka or a hornpipe or slow hornpipe, but we're not playing a complex rhythm there. Whereas you go over to Spain and the rhythm that Angel was playing yesterday and Alberto and Carles, they have the rhythms of their dances, their pasodobles and the things like that, which they build into all this. And he was saying about, this would be interesting for Bird, he said, how is it that Ireland got such a good a history of such a good rhythm, with their driving, baran driving thing. I said, yeah, that's a modern rhythm, because the baran was introduced in the 1960s. They didn't have that before, and so that has built up. Now that's become a standard part of Irish music. We expect that driving rhythm. That's what came out in the river dance. We have all the opportunity to play interesting rhythms for our dances. And I was in a band called the One World Band. Some of you may remember Roger Watson from Muckram Wakes and Victory Band, Swan Band thing. And he set up this One World Band, which every time we went out, it had a musician from every continent except Antarctica. And so we would be playing for Cayley at a festival, and the rhythm section would probably be from Africa, or sometimes it was from yeah, it's often from Africa, often from India as well. So we'd have tabla players.
You know, I want to
so,
do.
well, and so what we did was we made our English Kayleys really exciting things, because we had African, we often had Caribbean rhythms, we often had a lot of South American, because we had a good South American player with us, but a lot of Indian as well. So we have a great opportunity to develop other rhythms beyond what we're currently doing. Yeah.
I was struck with when Carlos taught us all the pieces. He said, "No, you can't play a pavan until you've danced
Dance the pavan."
the
Yeah.
pavan." And so we all were stepping around the room. And I was thinking about this in terms of my best friend he's a jazz pianist. He's a real, you know, has it all here. But there is so much in music that is not on the page. So like swing, for instance, swing is not on the page. It looks like da 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 da, but you swing da 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 do up. So I know with English music too, there are things that aren't on the page that are stylistically rhythmic, but you can't show it on the dots.
Yeah.
So people who follow dots, you know, they need to get beyond dots into what is that style.
Yeah. Well, at one point, I agree. Actually, I think it's not necessarily the case that we've lost the
Right.
English rhythm, but just
No.
because rhythm is actually quite difficult to notate.
That's right.
And we tend to play what the notation indicates, which may be
Right.
missing that. It was interesting when I was trying to write down my little piece.
Right.
The rhythm is actually the tune is playing in 3, but underneath you've got a very strong 2-beat rhythm.
Yeah.
So the way I sorry, I didn't do it then. I didn't have my bells, but I recorded it with bells on my leg, playing the tuple rhythm, and it's steady 1 2 1 2. But on top of that, you've got 1 2. Then on top you're playing in 3. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So it's quite interesting. You play on the drum a triple rhythm.
Yeah, the interior rhythm.
You're playing it in
That's samba.
But you've got a steady beat with your spare leg and bells on your leg to give you that duper rhythm. That's the clever part, actually. The tune is dead easy. It's getting those rhythms going. That's which we must try at some point.
Why doesn't someone invent a Zoom where we can all play together? Come on, Stephen, you fix this problem for us. Mr. Wizard, the whole world right now is on Zoom and no one can play together. We have to fix this.
There is a sharing platform which people do use for sessions, and it works quite well. However, we've made a significant step here because we're all here now, and we've even got Bird and Clive here. Woo! So you know,
hooray!
And you know, for Bird, how many times have you used Zoom, Bird?
I used it at about 12 o'clock, and this one.
Oh, this is only the second time on Zoom. There is a session thing which has a much shorter latency, but it's not for the faint-hearted. You have to be pretty Zoom.
You have to have headphones and a microphone external and enable all of that, and it still has a latency.
It still has latency, but it's a lot better than this. However, it is pretty incredible that you're around the other side of the world to me, and we're having a chat.
Yes, I know. Atsu did he say he was in Bulgaria?
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh well, yesterday in the big workshop we had Japanese, American, and European.
Good.
It was fantastic that we could make all that work. It was quite interesting to see the jig workshop working with different screens with people jumping at different points. They were hearing the music at different times.
I've been playing for Morris practices on Zoom, and believe me, it's not easy because you want to watch what they're doing to play for their dancing, and they're all doing it at different times, and none of them are remotely close to what you're playing.
Yeah, you can't look.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But I think we're doing quite well here with this. You know, we get.
Yeah. So are we up for one in about 2 months' time? Are we up for?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Should we finish with Queen's Delight or something like that?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. I suggest everybody mutes, otherwise we'll have a coffee. You can lead it, Andy.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll lead it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll do. I suppose we. Yeah. Should we have the luxury of three corners each time, and we'll do. Let's do the whole thing. Let's do the whole thing. So we're going to do. We're going to have. So we're going to have. I think probably 4. Let's do 4 sets of corners and 3 of each of those.
We'll be here for half an hour.
All right. We'll just do 2 sets. All right. We'll do 2 sets of corners. We'll do the fast ones and the slow ones. Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll do 3 of each of those. Okay. Here we go then.
You're the only other person that I know that does the same thing as me with lifting the arm up high for leaping them off the ground, you know, really up high.
I do that on the penultimate half caper, but not for all the other ones.
Oh, you've got to just get them in the air. You know, this is your chance to get them into the air.
Yeah. So just thinking about future sessions, I can keep. So I'll be. I've got this webinar software which works definitely better than the standard Zoom software for what we're doing. £32 a month. So so the TTS is paying for it this month. We've got an Anglo Concertina thing that's paying for it in October. Got Anglo Concertina playgroup. And I was definitely planning to see if we could. So that's being paid by subscription. For that will probably still be running in November, early November. I'll still have the subscription. So that will probably roll over okay on there. I'm thinking about end of January, beginning of February for doing winter warmer.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
are we assuming it's all locked down and online as well?
Yeah. Well, we can plan for that now, and
Yeah, I think we assume that, and then hope that things get better after that. Really.
So that one could be is traditionally a more informal and a more of a an informal and a workshop type scenario. So workshops and sessions rather than concerts, and so that would be a good thing. It wouldn't be bad to have a concert if people wanted to, having got into the swing of this, wanted to record something for it. Then we can put together a concert for the winter warmer, maybe a concert of attendees rather than the sort of international thing we did yesterday. So I'll work on that basis. And so it may
that sounds great, Steve. Thank you.
It may be depending on where we are on November, whether I've still got the subscription. So it may cost the society for the subscription, or we do a subscription amongst all those who want to participate of a couple of pounds.
Yeah, I'll check out the financial stuff with Rob and Gillian, obviously.
Yeah, because the finances of things are different at the moment, and that would be good. So let's plan on that, Elizabeth.
I was talking with Stefan Dolak, who I think he lives in Texas, and he edited Dick's book again and put the book out. But we were thinking about getting some sort of U.S. contingent together at some point. Those of us, we have people on the East Coast, a lot of West Coast players. There are several of us, and maybe we could figure something out to do a little, I don't know, a group thing or post something or gather at some point. So we're going to try to round up, who's who of the U.S. because there are fantastic musicians in our country.
Yeah, that sounds
well. Why don't you? It's just an idea for the winter warmer. Why don't you sort of work out a time that would be good for all the US?
Yes.
And have an event, and then we'll sort of see if any of us can make it, kind of thing.
That would be fun.
If it's the same weekend, it might be quite nice.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have a little Christmas gathering, just to play all the carols.
Let's do a Zoom mummers play.
Okay, I will give you a link. I'll give you a link to the Sidmouth Virtual Mummers, which performed at Sidmouth Folk Festival, even though it was all online.
Let's do our own. Let's do a Morris Mummers.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of people who have been doing Commedia dell'arte over
Yes.
Zoom.
Yes.
Really? Oh, that sounds fantastic.
That is fun. Yeah.
A little interesting passing props from one person to another.
Yeah.
They make it work.
So, well, in that case, you might be interested in. We're actually looking at doing the International Mummers Festival again. So I've run that for a number of years, and then I had to stop when I was ill. But I had so many requests to revive it that we are planning an International Mummers Festival online, and possibly even a way sale online for 12th night. So there's stuff going on there, and we'll be looking for people to to join the Mummers Festival, Mummers teams and the like to do that. I've just yesterday, in fact, whilst the concert was on, I had a phone call from the Marshfield Mummers, the really famous traditional mummers side, talking about could they send me a video to use for it. So yeah, things are growing. Watch this space. I'll send you a link to. I'll put it on the Pipe and Tabor Facebook of the virtual mum. You've seen it, Andy, haven't you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'll put a link on there. Right. Well, it's been a great session. Great to see you all. And yeah, I think in some ways lockdown has had its benefits. In
Absolutely.
that it means that it doesn't cost Elizabeth quite so much to participate.
And Deborah,
And I don't have to get childcare for my kids.
Yeah.
And can I sort of just give a big thank you to everybody who's done stuff towards the festival, because there's just been so much work and so many amazing contributions. So big thank you to everyone. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic concert. The amount of work that went into producing things like Atsu's piece.
oh,
Fantastic. Okay, folks. Well, good to see you. And
See you in 2 months.
again. Yeah, 2 months' time.
See you in 2 months, everyone.
Till November.
Clive.
Hope it goes well. Father Christmas.